games with a bad reputation when you could go to the Game Boy Advance emulator and play what many consider to be some of the best games in the series. Obviously, there are some counter arguments to this as well. Pokemon is already present within NSO via the trading card game and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Admittedly, these games are not really full Pokemon adventures and more of battle simulators. So my original point still stands here. These spin-off games simply wouldn't steal players from the modern titles. In terms of the legitimacy of my argument towards Game Freak's greed, though, it's entirely in character for them to do something like this. The heads of the Pokemon Company have recently proved to the gaming world that they are willing to do some very, very scummy things to make an extra buck. For example, instead of making the Gen 4 remakes into full-fledged new games like they used to do with Omega Ruby and Heart Gold, they handed Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl off to a team that had barely made any games before. Now, I don't want to send any hate towards the developers of these remakes. Instead, I want to simply point out that they were most likely underpaid to make a game that brought in an insane amount of money. This is where the Pokemon Company realized how profitable laziness can truly be. More importantly, this is where they really drifted away from caring about what the players have to say about their games. And the worst part about this whole thing is, well, they're kind of right, at least in a business sense. Giving the fans what we wanted would have actually made them significantly less money in all likelihood. Let's say that we did get an amazingly developed Gen 4 remake made exclusively by Game Freak's best developers. This would result in the loss of Pokemon Legends Arceus, at least in the short term. This isn't even a huge issue though, since nobody would really be too upset if a game like that was delayed, and in some ways it did need more time in the oven anyway. The big problem would be for the Pokemon Company, since they would probably make half as much money in that scenario. Perhaps an amazing Gen 4 remake would have been the best-selling Pokemon game of all time. But I have a feeling that it still would have not sold more than the combo release of Pokemon Legends Arceus and BDSP. Knowing all of this, you can see why the Pokemon Company took the low ground of just handing such an important project off like the remakes. It's because it was literally free money for them. All they had to do was make sure that the games were mostly faithful to the originals and added a tiny bit of extra content. Improving something like the graphics was never important to them, so they released Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl knowing exactly what would happen. The game would sell thanks to your nostalgia, and the new wave of children who play games on the Switch wouldn't know any better. They knew the reviews would be mixed because the game was clearly made with no passion. But it wouldn't matter because they made their money. And hey, if you didn't like those games, at least they had Legends Arceus, which was a brand new experience.
Dude, I've never played that
In some
level.
ways, yes, an open world Pokemon game was revolutionary.